Recording. Very good. So good. So that we all can receive the recording at the end of the program. Okay, so we have started the recording. So we're going to start with what is AI, what is Gen AI. So we all are human being, right? So we all have certain intelligence. I am speaking now in this. I am able to show my face on the video, and as a children, you are able to listen and understand what I'm speaking. And also you can see and you can tell in the presentation what you are seeing. All these are feasible and possible because something called a human intelligence. We all are born with it. Because of that, you are able to learn, understand, think, and solve problem on your day-to-day life, right? And we are all learning new things. You are going to the school and learning new things, and you are solving a lot of problems as a human being and as a child. And you're making decisions. You made a decision to join this session. You understand ideas, and you can remember things and start using them on your day-to-day work. So it enables you to think, and this is enabled by something called your intelligence. Okay, now think of this, the same thing. You have a laptop. Does this laptop think on its own? You have a mobile phone. Does it mobile phone think of its own? And we may have to make this machines to think on its own. That is where we're going to artificially add an intelligence so that these items can actually start thinking, right? So this is called artificial thinking, artificial intelligence, right? It means making a computer and machines think and learn like human being. So now, similar to a human being, how you are learning from the childhood how to think, we can make the machines to think about it and learn new things. And you can make the machines to communicate with you, solve problem, and recognize patterns there, right? And now making the machines to think, you can consider that as an artificial intelligence, right? So then we are talking about generative AI. What is this generative AI? So this is a type or a subset of an artificial intelligence, and the name suggests that it is generative. Generative represents it can generate things or create things. You can create new things like writing stories, drawing pictures, making music, even talking to a person, right? It is so intelligent that we can use it for lot of activities, right? Lot of activities like creating content, drawing pictures, write stories, and make music, and so on and so forth. So because it has lot of these capabilities, we're going to use that effectively. How this generative AI as a student I can use to learn my day-to-day subject. That is what we're going to see. That's our focus. How we're going to use our generative AI and this technology so that I can improve as a student my learning ability. I can improve my whole outcome of my studies. And that's what we're going to do today. Okay. So as I said, towards the right side, you can see the generative AI is a subset or a type of an artificial intelligence. Okay. You understanding this is more than enough. So we started with human intelligence. human intelligence, or we all are born with that human intelligence. And with that intelligence, we are able to understand, learn, and create, study, remember things in our day to day life. And how we can actually enable this similar to human intelligence to a machine or a program, that is what is an artificial intelligence. And generative AI is a subset of an artificial intelligence which enables you to generate items, content. It can generate pictures, generate stories, generate music, generate or talk to a person. So, effectively, this is what we will achieve out of this generative AI, right? So, now what is it? How are we going to use this generative AI? So, we're going to use a tool called Google AI Studio. This is one of the tool to learn and understand and interact with generative AI. Okay, so this is like if you want to speak to some of your friends, you use your phone, right? Phone is used as a medium for communicating with your friends, right? Similarly, this tool, Google AI Studio, is going to be used as a tool for communicating with your generative AI capabilities, right? Good. So now we have already shared this detail. I will just quickly tell you how to access this tool. You don't need to do anything now, just listen and note down. These informations are already shared with you how to access this tool. And you can access this tool on your laptop or on your phone and start practicing that using some of the exercises that we are going to give at the end of the program. So you don't need to do anything now, just listen and understand. So on the top, we mentioned how do you access this tool? Like, how do you access this tool? This is one link through which you can access this AI Studio. Okay, when you access this tool, this is how the screen will look like, and you will have an option to enter into Google AI Studio. When you enter into the Google AI Studio, you will see something like this, right? And would you like to use the Google AI Studio? And it is going to tell something called Try Gemini. I hope you are all able to see the screen. So the Gemini is one of the generative AI artificial intelligence available from Google, and we're going to use this Gemini artificial generative AI tool in generative AI using this tool called Google AI Studio. So the AI Studio is going to help you access this generative AI called Gemini. Clear? We're going to use the Gemini for learning our rest of the program. Okay. Now, once you click this, it will go and show a screen like this. Okay. It will go and show a screen like this. On the left side of the screen, you will have something called chat. Something called chat. This is what for the rest of the session we're going to use for learning new things. So for the rest of the session, we're going to use this chat for learning new things, right? I hope it is all clear for all of you, right? Great. So now let us look at, let us introduce a concept called a prompt for all of you. What is a prompt? We all told that we mentioned that somebody is playing around on using the tools. So we mentioned that generative AI enables you to interact so that you can learn your subject very well, right? How do you interact? You interact with something called a prompt. Using this prompt, you will interact with the generative AIs. Okay. So is it very complex? It is not really a very complex one. And and what we're going to do is we're going to introduce what is this prompt. In generative AI, a prompt is just a simple text, right? I think we need to probably restrict our kids not to use this one, please. Okay. And this is the actual piece of text, a small text that you will use to interact with the generative AI. Okay. So, so that we're going to interact with the generative AI. So let us look at some example and see how we will actually use that prompt. Okay, so we're going to use the prompt for interacting. Okay, so so as a student, many times what happens is you are reading a subject, but you don't understand that subject very clearly, right? And if you need to understand the subject very clearly, you need somebody to assist. Typically, you go for your teacher or your mom or dad to understand or study your subject. Now, I'm going to introduce this generative AI. So, here is one more tool you can use for understanding your concepts there. Okay. So, in this, we're going to look at four different items. First is explaining a concept. You're learning a new subject, but you don't really understand that subject well. What you can do is you can ask the generative AI to explain to you the concept very clearly, right? And the next is step by step solutions. Let's say many times you are doing a math problem and you don't understand really how that math problem is solved. So what you do, you go and ask your teacher, mama or dad, how do we solve this? Instead, now you can ask the generative AI to help you on understanding how to solve that step by step problem for any of your math questions. Now, the third item we're going to look at is how do we summarize the content. Summarize in terms of I have a large item that I have, but I don't want to read or I don't understand the full context of it. I want a smaller paragraph so that I can understand it better. That is called summarize. Sometimes you may require to compare two things, and you can use generative AI to do that as well. So let's go one by one, look at it. How are we going to use that? Okay. So here, the first item that we're going to look at practically is something called study assistant and concept clarification for explaining the concept. So I learned a subject, I learned something, and I need somebody to explain to me the concept there. Okay, for example, how can I create a prompt? You can tell the generative AI, explain the concept in simple terms suitable for a sixth grader. Okay, so now here there is a concept in science called photosynthesis, and depend on your grade, you might have received this concept in your program, in your class. Now, for many people, it is very difficult to understand this photosynthesis. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask our our generative AI to explain to us what is a photosynthesis is. Okay, so this is what we're going to do now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a tool here, and we told that this is the Google AI Studio. Whatever that I have told you, I have already done. I have already logged into this. So this AI Studio is already available for me to utilize. I hope you are all able to see the screen. And now, as I said, on the left side, you have this chat window. In the chat is what we're going to work on the details. So the first concept that we talked about is photosynthesis. I'm going to write the prompt that explain photosynthesis in simple terms suitable for sixth grade. Why sixth grader? If I'm a seventh grade or eighth grade, you can change this. You can change this as seventh grade or even fifth grade. Okay. So let me tell that this is a fifth grade student. Okay. So when I click on run, now what it is doing is, what we are currently doing is we are interacting with the Gemini generative AI using the tool called Google AI Studio. Why are we using this tool specifically? There are many other tools are available. You can use whichever that you prefer, but this is kind of free for all the people to utilize, and the most important thing is, which is more powerful. That is the reason we're going to use this tool for our program. Okay. So now I asked the Gemini that explain photosynthesis in a simple term suitable for a fifth grader. Okay. So this is the question that I asked. Now for this question, it has responded like this. Okay. And this is like a children can easily understand it, isn't it? Let us go through this to understand whether we are able to understand this concept very clearly or not. Okay. And the first is in terms of it is telling that imagine a plant is like a tiny chef. This chef, who is chef? Chef is somebody who is cooking something, right? And chef is somebody who cooks a meal, right, in a hotel. So this chef, that is nothing but the plant, wants to make their own food. But instead of going to the grocery store, it uses the things it can find around it. What are all the things the plant can find around it? It can use the sunlight, water, and air. And this is the three ingredients that it uses to make or cook the food that the plant wants. And the process of creating this, you can go through this as an exercise. And this process of creating that their food is called photosynthesis. And in short, plants are like natural chef making food from sunlight, water, and air, and gives us a fresh air to breathe, right? So this is what it has explained to you as a concept for this particular item, right? And now here in this case, I have mentioned fifth grader. You can mention, depend on your grade, you can mention, and it can actually explain the details accordingly. I hope it is clear, right? If you have any questions on this, I want you to note down that at the end of the program, I'm going to give you time for you to ask the question. Most of the questions will be answered and you don't need to worry about it. And in case if you are not clear on anything, you can ask the question at the end of the program. Okay. So this is for explaining the concept. Now let us look at step-by-step solution. So there are cases where, let's say I have a math problem. If there is a question called solve for x in 2x plus 3 equal to 11. This is a question that has been asked to you. and you don't know how to solve it. And what you can do is you can ask the Gen AI in the Google AI Studio, tell that provide a step by step solution to this problem, solve for x in 2x, right? So now we're going to try this. We're going to try this on our experiment. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the same place. Now the chat window is here at the bottom, and I'm going to take the second question that I have. I'm going to put it in the chat window and say run. When I click on run, it is going to ask the generative AI to help you with the step-by-step solution for solving this problem. Okay, it is telling that let us solve this x in the equation. So it is telling step 1. So we need to get rid of this number. So the way to get rid of this number is this way, and step 2 is it is trying to do uh, get rid of this 2, and you're going to do that by using this, and it is brought in the simplified answer as x equal to 4, and it also provides option for you to check the answer. So if I put 4 here, left hand side is 11, right hand side is 11, so that means that we are able to prove that the value of x is equal to 4. So it is, for some students it might be very simple, for some students it may be little complex, right? Different students has their own set of understanding, right? Now the same question you can even ask it in a different way, meaning let's say you are a 5th grader or 6th grader, you can ask the question like this. The same prompt provides step by step solution for the problem and tell for a 6th grader. So if you tell the same solution, it will try to simplify in a way that you can very easily understand as a 6th grade student. This is very important, right? Because many time, okay, so now it is the same problem, but it is going to give you a detailed explanation, and the detailed explanation is fit for a 6th grade students to understand it very clearly, right? So, and it is the same problem that it is solving. It is telling that it is the same x equal to 4 it is going to give, but it is going to give you more explanation and a clear, concise one, so that a 6th grader can easily understand it, right? So the next item is in terms of summarizing the summarizing the content. For example, I want to learn a new topic, but I don't have all the time, or I have in my book a new topic is mentioned on how the rainwater cycle works, and it is like 10 pages. And I want to first understand the concept in a very summarized way before I can actually read the 10 pages, so that it is much more clearer for me. To do that, the first step that you can do is you can ask the generative AI to summarize any particular topic. This summary can actually help you understand the topic very well before you can actually go and dig deeper into understanding the details better, right? So let's look at the summarization. So now it is the same question I'm going to ask and the same chat window. And if I ask the question on summarize the key point of a rainwater circle, it is going to give me a summary of all the items specific to rainwater as such. So there is a set of process for understanding it. So it says evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. These are the details. Okay. So now somebody could say, okay, even this is very long for me to understand. Okay. You can even ask, right? Summarize the above response in a paragraph. Okay. So when I say summarize the above response in a paragraph, it will understand that this is the response that it has given for the rainwater and for rainwater cycle. And for this rainwater cycle, it is going to give me only one paragraph, a concise one, which is exactly explaining the concept that you are trying to learn. Clear? So it is very simple, right? Once you understand this particular paragraph first, and then you can go to this particular paragraph to understand the items in detail about what you are trying to learn. Okay. So this is for summarization of the details. And the next item that we're going to do is comparison. Sometimes your teacher or your mama, dad will ask you to compare two different items, and at that time you can utilize the help of the generative AI to compare the item. Let's take an example. Say you have a piano and a guitar. I hope all of you know what is a piano and a guitar, right? And somebody is asking you, your teacher is asking you, can you compare and contrast what is piano and guitar? And what you can do is, for you to, assuming you don't understand this, if you want to understand this, you can ask the generative AI, compare and provide the details for that. I'm going to ask compare and contrast. Contrast is like you are comparing and provide all the different variants of the comparisons, right, on piano and guitar. And I've asked this question, and kids, I don't want you to use the use this part, that is, please stop using the items there and there. Okay, so here is a beautiful answer that it has given. So now you have taken two items, it is piano and guitar, and we are comparing here using this, how a sound is made and what is the difference between a piano and guitar, how it is played, how you play a piano. You play a piano using pressing a key with a finger, but in the guitar you will have a strings, and using the strings you will basically interact. So these are some of the differences it has actually clearly provided for you to understand, right? Very good. So now we have looked at how to compare and contrast two different items when you are studying. So this is very useful when you are actually studying and asking some items to be compared there. Okay. So till now what we have looked at is in terms of some of the study assistant and concept clarification. So we looked at, these are some of the four prompts that you can use to understand and compare the items which are there when you are studying. I hope it is all clear. Now, the next item that we will look at is writing and critical thinking, which is very, very important. Critical thinking is very important as a student. And we're going to look at four different writing and critical thinking concepts. The first is drafting a concept, right? So, drafting a concept, if somebody is asking you, draft a specific concept about, or if your teacher is giving a project work, you know, learn about a certain specific item and draft a concept about it. Or specific to critical thinking, what is the advantage and disadvantage of a certain specific topic? They could ask. And the third thing is part of the critical thinking is what is the potential consequences of something happening and how can you actually reduce that? And the fourth one is you can increase your capability and learning ability by developing arguments, right? Developing arguments. So now we're going to look at all these concepts now, right? Four concepts: writing and critical thinking as part of drafting a concept, advantage and disadvantage identification, potential consequences of any particular topic, developing an argument. Okay. So now drafting a concept. So I'm going to ask, there is a statement that you have, but the statement is not clear or concise. So you can ask the generative AI to rewrite the sentence so that it is more concise. So let us quickly go to that and explain that. Yeah, okay. So I have a statement that I have written, which is not clear. Due to the fact that it was raining, the match was postponed. This was a statement, and I want it to be little bit more concise and more clear. Concise meaning more clear, right? And when I ask, because it was raining, the match was postponed. This is a rewriting of the actual statement that is there. Due to the fact that it was raining, the match was postponed is one way of communicating. The other way is because it was raining, the match was postponed. Or you can tell the match was postponed due to rain. The rain postponed the match. The match was postponed because of rain. So these are different ways that it can actually help you provide the concepts there. I hope it is very clear. So the next is advantage and disadvantage. Advantage and disadvantage meaning pros and cons, right? Now, I'm going to give an example of list the pros and cons of implementing a 4-day school week. We all are happy, right? If a 4-day school week is there, we all are happy, right? But we don't want to do that. And what is the pros and cons? Let's understand from Gen AI. What is the pros and cons or advantage or disadvantage of um, 4-day school week? What are we doing now? We are actually entering a prompt. This is the prompt that you asked. For this prompt, the Gen AI using this Google AI Studio tool is responding for your prompt. Okay. The prompt that you have asked here is list the pros and cons of implementing a 4-day school week. And it is responding very clearly the pros of 4-day school week. Cost saving for the school, improved teachers, morale and retention, potential for improved student attendance. Is it? More family personal time and environmental benefit and flexibility for community use of facility. The cons are disadvantages or childcare challenges for the parents, long schooling days, and negative impact on academic achievement, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of these things are provided. See, within a minute, you are able to understand the pros and cons or advantage and disadvantage of using that. Okay. And the next item is potential consequence. What are the potential consequence of deforestation? Deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. Amazon rainforest is one of the large rainforests. We all know that what is forest, right? Forest where a lot of trees are there. The deforestation is nothing but you are cutting the cutting the trees, right? You know, if you are cutting the trees on Amazon rainforest, what will happen? So let us understand. We don't know about it. Let us understand what is the consequence of deforestation in the Amazon um, rainforest. Why it is called rainforest? Because Amazon has one of the huge forest in the world, which is called basically the lungs of the world, right? Because there is lot of trees are there. It is told that it rains almost 365 days every day. Yes, Akshita. Akshita, you can hold your question and you're able to hear me, right, Akshita? And you can hold your question towards the end of the program. You can ask questions, any questions. Okay. Okay. So now these are some of the consequences of removing trees in the Amazon rainforest. Okay. So that is what it has given a very big list. Oh my God. There is so big list that we can very easily understand the details, right? The next is developing argument. It is not that you arguing with your brothers or friends in the school. It is developing argument. The developing arguments are mainly to learn something better. Okay, this is like to help you on thinking ability, critical thinking ability. So now here what we're going to do is we're going to give an prompt example. You can tell, develop an argument supporting the statement schools to uniform should be mandatory, right? This is developing an argument supporting the statement school uniform should be mandatory. Or you can even create an argument for opposing as well. We will try that, okay? This is basically supporting the argument. If I say, if I say, develop an argument why it is school uniform is mandatory. This is like all the reasons why you should mandate the uniforms in the schools, right? And it is going to give a pointers based on some of the good points or supporting points. Okay, these are, there are so many points that it has given: equality and reduce socioeconomic disparities, and mandate more focused and disciplined academic atmosphere. Okay, and it has given a lot of option. As an argument sake, you can even ask the opposite as well. So develop an argument opposing the statement school uniform should be mandatory, right? You can ask the question as well, and it will think now why we should not use the school uniform. We are all happy, right? If school uniforms are not there. So every day you can wear a new dress, right? So, but there is a reason that we are mandating a school uniform, but you can understand an opposing statements as well. Now here it is telling that what are all the reasons that you can actually oppose the school uniforms, right? So you can understand these better. Okay, very good. So now we looked at in the last sections how your writing and critical thinking abilities are improved using generative AI, right? So the next step that we're going to look at is time management and study plan. So I have my daughter. So when I speak to my daughter, every time she will say, I will create a plan. And for creating the plan itself, she will take a lot of time, right? And now, how we can actually use our generative AI tool to do a time management and study planning. Okay, so you can use generative AI to design a study plan and ask it to break down steps. Okay, let's see an example. So, first example, you can ask, create a weekly study schedule. You can ask her, like, create a weekly study schedule for math, science, and English with designated time slot. You can ask whichever subject that you want. Here in this example that I am giving, math, science, and English. You want Hindi, then you can ask, create a weekly study schedule for Hindi. Or you can, instead of a weekly, you want a daily. You can ask, instead of weekly, you can mention it as a daily schedule as well, right? So now I'm going to ask the schedule of weekly schedule for my program. Okay. So now I'm running this. When I run this, it will create the actual schedule for us. It is going to create a weekly schedule for math, science, English with the designated time slot, meaning it is going to tell what time you're going to do what. Okay. And it is telling, it is taking these assumptions, it is created a clear schedule. In the afternoon 4 to 5, this is what you're going to study, right? And short break in the evening 7 to 7:45, and what you will study. And 7:45, like each and every week, what you will do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It has given a clear study there, right? You can use this, refine this, and plan it accordingly. Clear? So now, till now, we have looked at, it is similar to that, breakdown is similar to what we have looked at. Okay. So we have come towards the end of our first day session. So we learned lot of things. We learned a new tool. And before we go there, so as a children, and you all have to take your hand and keep it in your heart. Okay, I'm going to ask you, take your hand, keep it in your heart, close your eyes, and you're going to repeat what I'm going to say. Okay, and as a promise, I promise to thank and respect my parents, teachers, and every individual. Okay, and you can open your eyes and you can take out your hand. Okay, as a student, you should thank your parent, teachers, and every individual. Okay, so now we have some exercises that we're going to do after this session. So this exercise and the presentation, what you are going to do, we will share it in the chat. Don't worry about it, so that you can use that for creating the output. Okay, so now what we discussed today, let us do a small recap. First, we introduced what is intelligent and what is artificial intelligence and what is generative AI. And then we introduced you what is Google AI Studio. And we used the Gemini generative AI and used the tool called Google AI Studio to interact with the Gemini generative AI tool to ask and generate details so that it can help me do my studies better. And we also introduced something called prompt. Prompts are nothing but a text that you ask the generative AI, and based on this text, the generative AI is going to provide you the response, right? And now is a question and answer time. So we have looked at lot of prompts, and then we have understand lot of ways that we can actually use the prompts. Okay, so let me let me pause here. I If anybody, any kids have any questions, please ask. You can unmute. Yeah.
I have just one question, sir.
Yes. Who is
Can we
this?
create?
Can you introduce your name?
My name is Ananya, sir.
Ananya. Yes, Ananya. Tell me, what's your
Can
question?
we can we create a scrapbook with AI?
You want to create a scrapbook, right?
Yes, sir.
What are you planning to do with the scrapbook? What is the purpose of the scrapbook?
To stick newspaper information.
Newspaper information. Actually, it can create it. It can create it in the system. Yes, it is possible to create a scrapbook, and you can even try it on the exercise as part of the exercise. Okay,
Okay, sir.
very very good. So, any other questions? Is
No,
it all
sir.
clear? Kids, is it
Yes,
all
sir.
clear? Whatever we taught, is it all clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Very good. Yes. Very good. So we are towards the end of our program. We are on time, and we have learned something new. We will share the exercise to all of you and all the kids to continue the exercise and send the response in the chat. Okay? And until then, you should be a good boys and girls on your home, and don't give trouble to your mama and dad. And we will meet again tomorrow morning at exactly 10 o'clock. Okay? If possible, ask your mama or dad to join you 5 minutes before, so that you can understand things better. Clear? Okay,
Excuse me,
kids.
sir.
Thank you. Yes.
I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Today
Who
I
is
had
this?
some Srinidhi, sir.
Srinidhi. Okay.
I had some
Srinidhi.
network issues today, so your
Okay.
video and your audio was not clear today. Is it possible for you to share the recorded video, sir?
We can share it to you, ma.
Yes,
Okay.
thank
But
you,
we
sir.
can share it to you only at the end of fifth day. But because you had this problem, we can probably ask the administrator to send it to you
Okay,
today itself. Okay,
okay,
no
sir.
problem.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay,
So,
kids. Have a nice. Yes. Any other question?
so my name is Kavin, sir.
Yes, Kavin.
What's the concept after design study plan, sir?
After, I'm sorry, I did not hear you well. Can you repeat the question?
After design study plan,
Design study plan. Okay. So you can create a study plan, and using that study plan, you can do whatever that you want, right? So it's basically, so design study plan. See, sometimes you need to know when I'm going to read math, when I'm going to read science, right? That is, instead of you creating, you can ask the GenAI to create it and give it to you, and you can follow that for your study.
okay, sir. Thanks, sir.
Okay, good. Any other questions, kids? Okay, good. Very good. We are on time. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, team. Okay.
Thank
See
you,
you.
sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Burp, burp, burp.